What about the environmental drawbacks?
I would need for you to be a little more specific on environmental drawbacks. Clearly, if a technology was going to result in something that would not be permittable,
I guess it's my understanding that in the biofilters, the wood chips that are used in the basin, that they do have the potential to create a considerable environmental hazard themselves.
Well, I think typically the material that's used in the media is typically land applied after it is used up. And I have not heard of it being thought of as a biological, as a you know.
Once it goes into the stormwater.
Well, I think what you're talking about is, I think what you're talking about the nitrate leaching that could go down into the soil, right? That has been looked at. I think in this particular case that is caught and captured and put into the storage. Now
Should it be the next generation technology if it is going to have environmental drawbacks?
Well, there always are some drawbacks. I guess we have to weigh those. I think typically I know in our particular case that has not been an issue, simply because I think some of where they are, how they are managed, obviously because of the problems with, if there is too much moisture, there is very little leaching at all occurring. But I think that's one that would be, sure there's probably a potential there, but I think it certainly is outweighed by the benefits.
Wouldn't it make sense, again, another question again for you guys, wouldn't it make sense to adopt a technology that is useful and affordable for all farmers in the future? Because we know you're at PSF right now, but we pretty well know that Governor Nixon is going to in the future. It's going to come down to the contract growers and to the small family farms.
the very short answer to that question is yes. And I feel that is one of the three key points that was made to us by the state in that early letter, in those 3 points, because of the pending changes in regulation and as it's going to impact watersheds as well as airsheds. So I think that we are taking that into consideration, and that clearly is a component of a consideration for next generation technology.
So the most expensive technology that you are deeming as next generation technology, is it only going to be limited to the corporations, the ones with the deep pockets and not everybody else?
Well, that's going to be a decision that will be made beyond the scope of this agreement. I would anticipate that any type of technology change that shows environmental benefit as well as benefit to neighbors and society in general clearly has the potential to impact contract growers.
Which I'm pretty sure we can't afford $92 million last time I checked.
I hear that.
I know you didn't direct your question to me, but I take an opportunity to answer your first question. The 2004 consent decree does actually speak to economic feasibility. I'll read from the consent decree. It states, after completing construction and subject to the economic feasibility of the Crystal Peak plant and fertilizer product, PSF shall operate and maintain the Crystal Peak plant for the duration of the consent judgment. I'll skip a little bit and jump down. It says, if the Crystal Peak plant cannot be operated in an economically reasonable fashion and/or the fertilizer product cannot be sold in an economically reasonable fashion, PSF may propose a substitute project to replace the Crystal Peak project at the same facility to the management advisory team. So it would be my personal opinion that that language could also be superseded to be looked at in other technology as well.
Thank you for allowing me to address the panel. I'm disappointed that the Attorney General isn't here, but hope we'll take our message back. My name is Tammy Hart. I'm a physician practicing in Princeton. I grew up here, as did several generations of my family, as well as my husband's family. After living in Kansas City, Columbia, and Des Moines, we chose to come back home. Like many people in the audience, I was part of the farm crisis that began in the early 1980s. I can vividly remember reading about bankruptcy after bankruptcy, the loss of family farms, watching many community members leave the area to find employment. Just before Christmas in 1985, I stood in line in front of our bank, one of our failed banks, to get more money. I even remember getting a turkey from Willie Nelson from Farm Aid. It was bad. It was this downturn in the farming community that caused me to change my long-time plan of becoming a large animal veterinarian to become, as my son once put it, just a plain old doctor. When PSF located in North Missouri in 1988, the company not only provided jobs, but it stimulated the local economy in other ways, such as construction, businesses, housing, and local markets for grain. In addition, we began to see the return of several community members and families, as well as attracting persons new to the area. The impact of PSF is multiple. School districts have grown, roads have improved, likewise healthcare has been positively affected as people who are provided or now can afford health insurance. Although some would argue PSF and its associated businesses are a good fit for this rural area. The very jobs are compatible with our lifestyle and knowledge base as well as the region itself. The mom-and-pop farms are no longer the norm. Most farm families need at least one off-the-farm income to survive. In fact, the jobs created directly or indirectly by PSF have allowed many families to maintain their lifestyle on the farm. During this month's meeting of the Princess School Board, our superintendent estimated that 66% of the students in our district would be directly affected, and the cuts of over one-third of the staff and services will need to be implemented should PSF close the stores. The North Mercer District also estimates similar cuts, and Newtown Harris estimates 50% cuts. Not only school districts will feel these losses, our county's excellent EMS services will be required to scale back out of necessity, as will libraries, health departments, road and bridge departments, and other tax-supported entities. There are many inaccurate claims made during the February meeting with Mr. Coster. Many of these have been or will be addressed by other speakers tonight. I would like to comment on one of these claims, that being the older and stench of the hog farms. My husband and I raised hogs for many years. I've had first-hand experience from farrowing to castration to cleaning barns. We now live closer to some of these, to several sites, and many of these members have cleaned other plaintiffs that are named in lawsuits. We rarely smell the hogs. In fact, the smell is no more bothersome than when I go out and clean the stalls in my barn, when I work cattle, or when I go to the sale barn. And it certainly did not keep my babies, certainly done make my babies cry in order to keep me from sleeping at night, as other claims have been made. Clean and other plaintiffs have unfortunately found a money tree. Some of you who bought land next to existing sites and sued. When researching CaseNet.com, I noticed a nursing home resident named as a plaintiff in one of the lawsuits, as well as persons who moved from this area several years ago. Allowing these persons to succeed in creating unreasonable restrictions will not only affect PSF and other similar operations, but it will quickly trickle down to many of us, the smaller producers. In closing, I'd like to quote one of my favorite and very knowledgeable physician instructors, Dr. Reddy. One day when I was lamenting about a patient who wouldn't listen to me during my residency, he said, "Tammy," he said, "you can't fix stupid." Environmentalist groups such as the Lean, the Sierra Club, the HSUS, as well as many of our urban legislators.